Who is actually winning this war? Stay until the end. 12% of all global maritime trade passes through the Red Sea, a corridor so narrow that a single missile or drone strike can halt the flow of goods worth nearly $1 trillion each year. This is not an abstract threat. Since late 2023, more than 100 confirmed attacks have targeted commercial ships on this route, forcing the world's largest carriers to make a choice, risk a direct hit, or add up to 2 weeks and 6,000 miles to their journeys around Africa. Maersk, the Danish shipping giant, pulled its vessels from the Red Sea after a series of near misses. British Petroleum halted all tanker traffic, citing unmanageable risk. For every ship that reroutes, the cost of fuel alone jumps by nearly $1 million. Insurers have responded with their own form of alarm. War risk premiums for Red Sea transit have soared by as much as 900%, leaping from a fraction of a percent to as much as 2% of a vessel's value. For a modern container ship, that can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars added to a single voyage. Some underwriters have exited the market entirely, unwilling to shoulder the mounting exposure. The ripple effect reaches far beyond the Suez Canal. Freight rates on Asia to Europe routes have more than doubled, and Egypt's canal revenues have dropped by nearly half. Each disruption sends shockwaves through global manufacturing, supply chains, and consumer prices. The numbers are staggering, but for shipping companies and insurers, this is not just a story of percentages and premiums, it is a daily calculation of risk and survival. Ansar Allah, better known as the Houthis, controls most of northern Yemen and has held the capital Sana'a since 2014. This movement, once dismissed as a local insurgency, now commands an estimated 100,000 to 200,000 fighters, numbers drawn from UN and US intelligence estimates. Their ranks are filled through a mix of tribal alliances, ideological fervor, and economic necessity. In a country where the average fighter earns less than $200 a month, the promise of steady pay and social status draws both volunteers and conscripts. Despite facing one of the most intense bombing campaigns in modern history, over 26,000 Saudi-led airstrikes since 2015 as tracked by the Yemen Data Project, the Houthis have not only survived but expanded their territory. Underground bunkers, mountainous terrain, and a network of tunnels have helped shield their leadership and weapons stockpiles. Each time a launch site is destroyed, a new one appears days later, often relocated or rebuilt with improvised materials. Their governance footprint stretches beyond the battlefield. In Sana'a, the group operates courts, tax offices, and police forces, blending militant control with the machinery of a functioning state. This institutional backbone supports a war economy, channeling resources into recruitment and weapons development. By 2025, the Houthis are recognized as the most drone-capable non-state actor in the world, fielding a catalogue of loitering munitions and missiles that rivals national militaries. Their resilience is not just a product of Iranian support, but of a system that turns local hardship and outside pressure into fuel for a sustained campaign against some of the world's most powerful navies. The Houthi arsenal is a study in variety and improvisation, designed to overwhelm and confuse even the most advanced naval defenses. At its core are the Shahed 136 loitering munitions supplied by Iran and assembled in Yemen. Each unit costs around $20,000 and can fly over 1,500 kilometers, using GPS guidance to search for moving ships before diving in for the kill. Alongside these drones, the Houthis field a range of ballistic missiles, some derived from old Soviet Scuds, others built with imported Iranian components. These missiles are adapted for anti-ship roles, targeting vessels from launch sites hidden deep in Yemen's mountains. The group's inventory does not stop at the shoreline. Unmanned surface vessels, remote-controlled speedboats packed with explosives prowl the shipping lanes, waiting for a target to stray too close. Underwater, the Aquarius series of uncrewed vehicles can slip beneath radar, threatening tankers and container ships alike. For longer-range strikes, the Houthis have developed drones capable of reaching well beyond the Red Sea, extending their influence as far as the eastern Mediterranean. Each weapon class is cheap, simple, and replaceable, but together they create a layered threat that stretches the resources of any navy tasked with keeping the sea lanes open. In October 2023, the USS Carney faced a barrage unlike anything seen in recent naval history. As Houthi-operated Shahed 136 drones and missiles swept in from the Yemeni coast, the Carney's crew fired off approximately 70 standard missiles, SM-2 and SM-6, over the course of a single engagement. Each interceptor launched from the deck cost between $2 million and $4 million, depending on the model and configuration. The math is stark. One drone, $20,000. One missile to shoot it down, up to 200 times that amount. In that single night, the Navy spent over $200 million in munitions to blunt an attack that cost the Houthis less than $6 million to mount. This is not an isolated incident. The US Navy's magazine, stocked for a major state-on-state conflict, is now being depleted by a militia with access to mass-produced, disposable weapons. At current firing rates, official audits warn that SM-6 stockpiles could run critically low by the end of next year, with production lines at Raytheon and Lockheed Martin capped at just a few hundred interceptors annually. Every drone shot down is a tactical victory, but the arithmetic is unforgiving. For every million spent, the Houthis spend a fraction, and their supply chain, fed by smuggled parts and local assembly, shows no sign of slowing. The world's most advanced navy is locked in a contest of attrition, where the cost of defense threatens to outpace the resources of even the richest nations. Operation Prosperity Guardian brought together warships and aircraft from nearly 20 countries, forming one of the largest multinational naval coalitions since the Gulf War. American destroyers, British frigates, French and Italian patrol vessels, and surveillance planes from Japan and Australia patrolled the Red Sea, tasked with keeping open a corridor that moves 12% of global trade. Over 500 airstrikes have hammered suspected Houthi missile and drone launch sites, radar stations and weapons depots since January 2024. Commanders in Bahrain track every launch, every intercept, and every near miss, coordinating sorties and missile launches across languages and command structures. But each time a launch site is cratered, new ones appear, often scattered across Yemen's western mountains, hidden among civilian buildings, or mounted on trucks that disappear before satellites can reacquire them. Coalition analysts have tracked a shift. Instead of relying on fixed sites, the Houthis now disperse launchers in small units, moving them after every attack. Resupply lines snake through Oman, with Iranian components arriving by sea and overland, bypassing coalition patrols. The result is a grinding contest. Hundreds of strikes, billions spent, but a threat that adapts and persists, stretching the resources and patience of even the world's most advanced navies. Each rerouted vessel adds up to 14 days and $1 million in extra fuel, multiplying across hundreds of ships. Freight rates on Asia to Europe routes have more than doubled since the campaign began, squeezing manufacturers and retailers already stretched by global supply chain shocks. Egypt's Suez Canal Authority, once earning nearly $9.4 billion a year, has watched toll revenues drop by 45% as transits fall behalf. Carriers like Maersk report up to $1 billion in added expenses for fuel and delays, while insurers face a ninefold spike in war risk premiums. The shockwaves touch every link in the chain, from factory floors in China to supermarket shelves in Europe. For every cheap drone launched, the downstream cost is measured not just in dollars, but in the stability of global commerce itself. Yemen's mountains and deserts form a natural shield, hiding launch crews and stockpiles from even the most persistent surveillance. When a coalition airstrike destroys a drone pad or missile site, local teams rebuild or relocate within days, using improvised materials and a network of tunnels. No coalition member has shown willingness to risk a ground invasion, leaving Houthi forces free to regroup and adapt. Each successful attack or near miss is broadcast across state media, fueling a surge in recruitment and donations. The cycle repeats: destruction answered by repair, military pressure answered by propaganda, all under the cover of terrain that frustrates outside intervention. Iran sits at the center of a regional network known as the Axis of Resistance, linking the Houthis in Yemen with Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and powerful militias in Iraq. Tehran provides weapons, intelligence, and logistics, allowing each proxy to strike at adversaries while denying direct involvement. Together, these groups form a ring of fire stretching from the Mediterranean to the Arabian Sea. The strategy is clear: Coordinated, low-cost attacks keep pressure on Western interests, drain resources, and force costly responses. This turns local militias into global leverage. Today, a $20,000 drone threatens $1 trillion in trade, exposing a cost imbalance that modern navies struggle to reverse. As insurance premiums spike and interceptors dwindle, the Houthi playbook spreads. Can the world's most powerful navy defeat a $20,000 drone? Drop your answer below. Subscribe to Tomorrow's Warfronts for more breakdowns. Until next time.